Want to learn how to make your own cutout graduation hand fans using Canva and your Silhouette Cameo? Then keep on watching. Hey y'all, Victoria Cherie here with Pretty Party and Crafty, and we're going to jump right into how you can make your own graduation hand fans using our Canva templates, and then we're going to cut it using Silhouette Cameo. So the first thing you want to do is open up the template. Now, if you're not purchasing one from us, you can just open up the document, and our document size is 12 by 12 because we'll be printing on 12 by 12 glossy cardstock. If you don't have a printer that can print that big, just resize yours to 8.5 by 11. The first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you bring in your photo. My picture is already saved to a folder, but if yours is not, on the left side panel, click Uploads to upload your own image. And I want to remove the background. So with it selected, I'm going to hit BG Remover, and it removes the background for me. I'm going to crop it. Okay, so it removes the background, and I'm just going to click and drag it in there. And there she is. And all you have to do is just change the name to fit. So I'm going to put Madison. And if you need to stretch it out, you can, to make sure it's wide enough for the name that you're going to be using. Okay, you can also adjust the size. So right now it's at a 75. To make it bigger, we can just increase that. So now we have it at about an 80. Same thing here. It automatically has a curve effect, but we can increase that size as well if we wanted to. All right, that looks good. I'm going to download this, and I'm going to make sure that the background is transparent. So click Share, click Download. PNG is selected. I like to bring this up to 1.625. Pages, I'm only doing the current page 1. I'm going to hit Done. And I'm also going to make sure that transparent background is selected. And I'm going to hit Download. I'm going to do the same thing with the next one. So let's do the clouds now. All right, so again, you can add your image. So you'll just go to your uploads folder to upload your image, or you can drag and drop it. My image is right here. So with it selected, I'm going to hit BG Remover to remove the background. And this is a pro feature, but it is really beneficial and really useful. All right, so now I'm just going to click and drop him into the frame and release. And there it is. Now, if you want to maybe make it bigger, zoom in, I'm going to double click, and I'm just going to make him bigger. Okay, I'm going to hit Done. All right. Double click him some more. Okay, hit Done. All right, so that looks good to me. All right, and we have some items over here. We can make smaller or bigger as we want to. I'll make that one a little bit smaller. Same thing over here. Make that one bigger. And if you want to delete these, you can, but I'm going to leave it like that. Okay, so now remember with this one, I have the background gray because I wanted to be able to see the clouds. So to get rid of the gray background, I'm just going to click on the background and I'm going to hit delete. All right, now I'm going to go to Share, Download. Make sure PNG is selected. I like to bring this size up to 1.625. Make sure transparent background is selected. For pages, you're going to select current page. I'm going to hit Done, and then I'm going to hit Download. All right, so while that's downloading, now we can get our Silhouette Studio open. All right, so we have Silhouette Studio open, and the first thing that we want to do before we even bring in the design is make sure that we have our page set up correctly. So if you look on the right side panel, you'll click the first icon. This is for page setup. And once you click it, we're going to go through all of these steps. So make sure you have your machine selected. I'm cutting using the Cameo 4. Feed type is auto. Cutting mat, I'll be using a 12 by 12 mat. If you're using something different, just make sure you select it. Media size, right now it says letter. So whatever size paper you're going to be printing on, that's what you want to choose for media size. Because we'll be using the 12 by 12 Party Printables Cardstock, I'm going to change this letter to 12 by 12. Now, if you don't see 12 by 12 in the drop down menu, you can always just manually input the width and height here. Okay. If you scroll down, or if you look down at the bottom, you can also click to show the print border if you'd like. But I'm going to just leave that off. Also, it has a show cut border. Again, I'm going to just leave that as is. All right, next, because this is a print and cut, we want to make sure that we turn our registration marks on. Okay, so you have to do this yourself. It doesn't automatically do it for you. So if you look at the third icon or the third tab at the top, we're going to click that for registration marks. We want to turn that on. Now, one of the things that I love about Silhouette Studio is it lets you change how your registration marks look. So you can adjust the length of it and the thickness. So if you bring the length down, it gets smaller. Okay, bring it up, it gets bigger. Same thing with thickness. Right now it says it's at a 0.50. If we wanted to, we could bring it up to make it thicker, or we can just bring it back down. And the same thing with the inset. Okay, right now it's 0.625. If we needed to make our design slightly bigger, we can bring down that inset to 0.394. So the default, I believe, is at 0.625. But if you just needed a little more room, you can bring that down to 0.394. Okay. Also, if you want to, you can turn print bleed on. But I'm actually going to do an offset, I'm thinking. So yeah, so I'm going to actually turn this off. There's two different ways you can bring in your design. You can go to File, Merge to bring it in, or you can already have the folder open and just click, drag, and drop it in, and you can bring in more than one at a time. I'm only going to cut one at a time, so I'm going to just move him off to the side. And we're going to start with her first. So as you can see, it already has a red line around it because I brought it in as a PNG. And so it kind of automatically traces it and knows where to cut. So I'm just going to bring this up. Now, really quickly, if yours does not have it automatically traced for where to cut, go to Edit, Preferences, and then you would select Import. And where it says PNG, make sure Auto Trace is selected if you wanted to go ahead and trace or have the cut lines for your PNGs. So if yours doesn't automatically have the cut lines, that's how you can do it. Let me hit cancel. Okay, and so now we can enlarge this to the size that we want. And just make sure you're staying within the red guidelines. So I'm going to move that up some. Okay, and with me, I'm actually going to do a slight inset for the cut. That's because when I have the print bleed turned on, I don't like the way that the print bleed looks. That's just me and a personal preference. So I'm going to just do a slight inset. If you don't want to, you don't have to, but this is just something that I'm going to do. So to do a slight inset, with it selected, I'm going to look on my right side panel, click on this star. And I'm going to select internal offset, which is basically an inset. And so as you can see, it already gives us another line that goes in the center. And that looks good to me. So I'm going to hit apply. But I'm also going to just change that color. So at the top left, I'm going to change the color to blue because that's the one that I'm going to cut. Okay, and the overall size of this, it looks like it's going to be 9.25 by 11.11. So those are lucky numbers. So let's leave it like this. Hopefully we don't have any issues. So I'm going to go to File, Print. Okay, so it gives us a print preview. Now, if your print preview doesn't look the way it's supposed to look, that's okay, because when you hit print, you can make your adjustments. So I'm going to just hit print. Two dialog boxes popped up for me, so I'm going to X out this first one and only work with the smaller one. Here is where you're going to make sure you change your preferences, so disregard the print preview. Select your printer, and then you're going to click on Preferences. Paper source is where you're putting your paper. Mine is rear paper feeder. Document size 12 by 12. Paper type, make sure it says photo paper glossy. Then you're going to hit OK and then print. All right, so right now it's printing. You might hear it in the background. So while that's printing, we're going to go ahead and get ready to send it to our cutter. So at the top right, we're going to click on Send. And again, one of the things that I love about Silhouette Studio is it shows you exactly what's going to cut. Okay, so the red marks represents what's going to cut. Now remember, my cut, I had two different color lines. I had a red one and I had a blue one. I only want to cut the blue one. So what I'm going to do is at the top, I'm going to select line. And I'm going to uncheck red because I don't want to cut it. And I'm going to make sure that blue is selected. Okay. My material is cover stock. I think I made this as a custom material, but if you look at the bottom, it does let you know what my settings are. So the blade is 5, the force is 32, 1 pass, speed is 3. Okay, so those are the settings that I'm using. So again, this is just something that I like to do. You can set your cut lines based off the color. This is just something that I like to do. Another thing that you can do, let me show you. If you zoom in, and you just select the outside and you hit no cut, that's another way you can do it. So you can select lines and change it to no cut. So again, this is another feature of Silhouette Studio that I love. Okay, so that's another way that you can do it. And as a matter of fact, I think I'm going to just cut it this way. So again, material, I told you what my settings are. Blade depth is 5, force is 32, 1 pass, speed is 3. And again, the dark red line is where it's going to cut, so we don't have to worry about what's going to cut and what's not going to cut. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get my mat loaded and send this to cut. All right, so now it is ready. I just loaded the mat, and we are going to go ahead and send it. All right, so it just got cut. I like to flip mine face down and pull the mat away from the paper. This is to prevent the paper cardstock from curling. So this is what it looks like, and I printed on Party Printables Cardstock 12 by 12. Since I just showed you how to do the first one, I'm going to speed this one up, but when you're done cutting the first one, just hit the design tab at the top so you can get back to this screen. I decided to add an offset to this one so that it can have a white border around it, and when I added the offset, I made sure to change the offset color to blue, so when I send it to cut, I'm only cutting the blue line. And remember, paper type should be photo paper glossy. This is going to help you avoid ink smearing. All right, so with the second fan cut, I did notice that it was cutting a little bit off to the left because it was supposed to be an even white border around it. So I do have to calibrate that machine. And if you don't know how to calibrate a Cameo, I'll do a separate video for that. Now, your supplies, you will need fan handles and you will also need a hot glue gun. I'm using the Ryobi. I'll be sure to link everything in the description. I also like to use my cutting mat because it lets me make sure everything is even. I also use some paper just to hold my place. Now, to assemble, all you have to do is flip it face down, and we're going to add hot glue to the top section of our fan handle. Now, it is hot, so be careful. Give it a chance to adhere to the back once you add it. And that's pretty much it. Now, if you want to give it a more polished look, add some metallic cardstock to the back. That way you can actually hide the back of the handle. This metallic cardstock is from the craft print shop. Again, it'll be linked in the description. So all you would have to do is just add an offset to the design and it will be gorgeous. So hopefully you learned something new. If you did, be sure to like and follow for more. If you have questions, let me know in the comments. I know many things, but I don't know everything. Later, y'all.